California Kaleidoscope. I'm Tony Genovese. I'm your host. We're doing something a little new for this show. We're going to do a live call-in show. So people that are out there that are watching us, please call into the show. The telephone number will come up, and you can call in and talk about our topic. Today's topic is going to be a real hot topic. Hopefully we'll have a lot to say about it. It's the whole immigration problem. That's what we're going to try to tackle today. And the guest I have with me that's going to discuss it amongst ourselves and with our callers is Sam. Good morning, Sam. Good afternoon, I should say. Good afternoon. So we'll try to handle phone calls as well as discuss what's coming up in the whole immigration mess, I guess we can call it. I guess it's a real mess now. We'll do that. And let me ask you one question before we get rolling here on the phone call. How did you get involved into this whole movement?
You know, Tony, I joined an organization called Save Our State originally, and I came in at the same time as a lot of members did. I've always had my concerns about illegal immigration, basically originally from a taxpayer standpoint. You know, I don't like the idea that a good chunk of the money that I earn is going to pay for people who have no business being in the country. But I think what really unified a lot of American citizens, certainly here in Southern California, when you saw last year those mass protests where really tens of thousands of people poured into the street, it was at that time that organizations like the Minutemen, Save Our State, and now No More Invasion, they picked up an awful lot of membership. Quite frankly, I think plenty of Americans were just very offended by people walking onto the streets, many of whom were illegal aliens, not asking, demanding to be allowed to stay here, and while doing so, waving foreign flags. And my story is a relatively similar one to lots of people who joined at the time I did.
Yeah, I think that was a very big eye-opener to a lot of citizens and people that were watching the media. And then the way the media was trying to spin it, to sort of downplay it, that really surprised me. But the power of media should never be underestimated. And hopefully we're sort of fighting back, having this little show, doing my little part. But the other thing that got me involved was just the rise in crime. I mean, it just seems like a lot of our immigration problems can be filtered into a lot of the major topics that the candidates are running for president. They're talking about crime and gang members and overcrowding in schools and hospitals closing and so many different areas. It all seems interconnected. So that's why I want to do a show.
Well, depending on where you live in the United States, certainly a place like Los Angeles, illegal immigration affects so many aspects of your life. If you've got school-age children, you're concerned about the public schools, and there's no question in the last 10, 15 years, the LAUSD has become abysmal. If you get on the freeways, 30% of the drivers in Southern California are uninsured. A lot of that because people who are not in the country legally can't get citizenship. If you're paying taxes, you know what the situation is with hospitals that are being closed down. You know what it is regarding the cost of prisons. It really, in many places in the United States, it affects all aspects of your life.
And I had a little bit of education. My ex-wife's mother was a member. She grew up in England, and she came here as an immigrant after World War II, and to marry her husband, who served in World War II. And I got a first-hand education on the immigration status and the trials and tribulations that it took for her to come to the United States through Canada. It took her 8 years on a list, and then finally making it here. And then she was so appreciative to finally make it and become an American citizen. She was a very proud transplant to be here, which brings up assimilation, which that's another whole topic about there are immigrants that want to assimilate and become American citizens as fast as possible. I know my background being Italian American. 4 generations back, my grandparents came over, and they just dove into the American lifestyle as quickly as possible. And nowadays, it just seems like you were saying with some of the marches and everything, it seems like there's an anger there of a lot of the immigrants that are here illegally, or dare we call them guests. That anger just seems to be so misplaced.
You know, there is a basic truism, and I think Ronald Reagan was an excellent president. I voted for the gentleman on both occasions, but there's no question he made a major miscalculation with the 1986 Immigration Reform Act. There's a basic truism. You know, if something is given to you, you're not going to appreciate it as much as if you've earned it. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is that it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse since that time.
You know, it's funny you bring up President. Hopefully we'll have a little more input on the phone. But I remembered when Reagan did that, and at the very time he did that, it just like a red flag for me. I just kind of said, you know, I don't understand why this is being done, and this might come back to bite us.
And it certainly did.
Yeah. And then what surprised me was that, you know, there was so little follow-up. It was like almost like benign neglect after that passed, because you know, several, you know, Democratic and Republican administrations seemed to just you know, turned away from it and didn't want to have anything to do with it.
We have seen in the United States for the last 40, 50 years, the federal government has just been completely derelict in securing our borders and dealing properly with the illegal immigration problem. People who send their children to many public schools in major cities, they're paying the price for that now. And as we found out, the failure to control our immigration system cost us a great price on September 11th in 2001. And I think that really forced into view just how much of a joke, to a large degree, our immigration system has become. We've got good laws, but they're not properly enforced, and the agencies that have been responsible for them, they've been largely incompetent.
You know, that really surprised me. I mean, September 11th really hit me pretty hard. I didn't have anybody connected with it, but to me that just seemed like a giant wake-up call, and it really seems like a lot of people, especially on this Veterans Day weekend, which we'd like to thank all veterans, it seems like they've forgotten that, and that it could be such a major purpose to getting this border secured and clearing up this mess, as we just don't want to go through that again. And it seems like maybe people forgot about it, or they just don't want to address it. Maybe it's denial. I don't know. But that, you know, that's just such a massive lesson to be learned.
And considering the price that was paid and what the cost was to Americans, it's hard to believe that, I mean, over 5 years after that took place, we really still don't have control of either our northern or our southern border. And anyone who's ever gone down to some of our border entries, and you see that the way they spot check automobiles, you understand how it takes place. I mean, I find it difficult to believe that many people have a hard time getting into the United States. And in view of all the American lives that were lost back in September of 2001, it's almost impossible to believe that those sort of conditions exist.
Well,